The dark side of real estate.
Hopefully, it can be
Basically,
educational at the same time.
not trying to scare you away from buying real estate, but maybe making you more aware of your
Conscious.
surroundings.
And conscious
Yes.
of the agents that you come in contact with. Like, we don't have to work with everybody, right? Like, we may not work with everybody, we may not vibe, but
I think it's a pretty big sign, though, because you, me, and Mom and Rick, the four of us that interact the most on the real estate side, not even Dad really that much anymore, but the four of us have all very different personalities. And if all four of us don't like someone or we get a bad vibe from someone,
that means there's something wrong.
that's a big deal,
Yeah,
right?
there's
Even if
something
two out
wrong.
of four of us have the, like, it's not just us. You know what I mean? It's not just the one person.
Like, if it's 1 out of 4, maybe it's you.
Yeah. And we'll tell you it's Paige. It's probably Paige.
Probably Paige.
Probably Paige. She's in a bad mood today. Watch out. No, but I have two, and they happen to be male examples. Like, I think it's something to be said that this is a very male-run industry, and a lot of, must I say it, misogynistic pigs out there.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Honestly, I
And
really think real estate needs to be female only, but I
It
said
needs. I didn't say it. You said it.
I said it.
But I agree with it. There needs to be more women because
Yeah.
I do not like any industry that is pretty much male run. I think since 2024, what the F? You know what I mean? And I've had
Too many encounters.
I want to say out of, like, let's say 5 bad encounters, 4 have been men in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had one call me sweetheart and all this stuff. And I'm like,
Sweetie is my
ew.
favorite.
Like, I don't even want my husband calling me sweetheart. That makes me feel like I'm your granddaughter. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Gross.
talk to me like that. That's gross. This is work.
Yeah.
And then I had one basically just tell me how professional he is and how he's
Amazing
been doing
he
it
is.
so long and how amazing he is.
Oh, that's my
Except for
favorite.
he doesn't know that an FHA appraisal stays with the property for 6 months.
Oh, that's my favorite when they throw in the, I've been doing this for like 30 years, you know. Oh, really?
Like, so your
Oh,
mistake
really?
shouldn't have been made.
Because you did not know the most basic aspect of real estate. But yes, sure. Tell me
keep
how
telling
big
me.
your penis is.
Yeah. You mean how small it is?
You know what I mean.
Wait, cut that out. We don't have to talk about penises. Stop it.
Just do a blurb.
No. So, and then I had one recently that, you know, they didn't make their appointment. Okay. So calls me 30 minutes after, was trying to reach you, but, you know, it was the office phone. So I answered first. And just a little blurb to make sure we answer our phones all the time. We do have an office line that rings all of our phones.
Call us, we'll answer.
Sorry. It's just the way we do it. Complain,
I dare you.
Complain somewhere else. This man did.
Yes.
So basically, starts off by just like being grumpy that he was trying to reach you and couldn't.
Which, by the way, did you know that there's a thing called Google out there that if you just type in like
The name.
Hardy Realtors, it probably just pops
Yeah.
up?
But he also, his wife who booked the appointment had already been texting with you. So
Yeah.
like, anyway, so starting off with complaints. I'm not even going to dive into all those complaints, but
Yeah.
started
there
off
was
with
quite a few,
complaints.
so yeah.
And then finally, because I can only take so much complaining from an old white man, I was like, okay, I'm sorry. Did you call me to tell me how hard it was to find our phone number? Like, I'm just confused because, you know, your showing was 30 minutes ago. You didn't make it, but at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. They're probably back home. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even rude at first, but I was just, I was kind of like
starting
but
to
I
get
was
like,
kind of like,
what is hell?
happening? Yeah, kind of thing. And then, but then he continues to tell me how I should be thanking him because he's such a professional and worked so hard, by the way,
Yeah, I
to
worked
find
so
our
hard
number
on
to tell
Google.
us that they weren't making it. I was just confused by the whole thing, needless to say. But the point is that it was yet another man telling me how great he is.
How it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Oh, let me give you another story of a male agent that I had once. So I apparently, it's my fault. Let me just preface this, right? Like this whole thing was my fault.
That was my fault too.
It's always your fault, right? Yeah. When you're the female, it's always your fault. So I have run into too many of these experiences. So I had a listing. And there was like a seller in possession form. My client was supposed to, you know, hold money back when it wasn't the client that was physically supposed to do it. You know, escrow was supposed to do it. But as the buyer's agent, you're trying to protect your client, right? Which
Right.
is not my duty. When I'm the listing agent, our duty is to the seller only.
It
Don't care.
it is, yeah, it's you have your own client, you have your own
I
client.
don't care, like, if your paperwork's not filled out properly, as long as my stuff's done, right? As long as our
Exactly.
side's good. And long story short, my client was going through a lot, and he did not make sure that escrow had that seller in possession document that had the holdback money in there.
Mhm.
And again, yes, she was supposed to do it. The document was signed, but not my
But it
problem.
but it gets held back from proceeds.
Exactly.
So there was nothing for the seller to do other than
Like she signed the document. She,
yeah.
as far as she knew,
It was
everything was
given to
supposed
the
to be
buyer side. It was
exactly. So, but apparently, like he forgot. Like he sent it to everybody, but it's not our side to then send it to escrow. Like we signed it, now it's in your court. Like, you need to do your job to protect your client.
yeah.
That's why they hired you,
And also
and that's why you're getting
make sure
paid.
it's with all the other RPA and other docs. You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly. So escrow never got it. They had no idea. And so she goes, she's supposed to clean the house, doesn't clean the house, all these
she was a
different
bit of a
things.
mess.
And he, calls me and, starts threatening me like it's my fault. And we had closed all these different things. And I was like,
Well, we
I don't,
signed it. We gave it to you.
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what you want me to do. That was your fault. You did not protect your client.
Yeah. Oh, hey, how about another male agent?
Oh yeah, let's keep
Do
going.
you remember this one?
This is fun. Yeah.
Okay. So, he also called me racist. Just that was
That
a cherry on top.
Out of left field.
By the way, via email. So I don't know how I'm
And
supposed to know
wait.
that.
Wasn't there like 5 other females on that
all
thread?
CC'd, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he told me to stop being difficult, by the way, for following the contract.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that. I digress. There was a seller in possession thing where he just straight up didn't do his job because it said, okay, so after the house closes, let's say the seller had 14 days.
Yep.
That's from whenever the house closes.
Yeah,
right?
you could be March 1st and then you got 2 weeks. It could be March 3rd. You still
Yes.
have 2 weeks.
It's not because there's a box you can check that also says date. So it's like either days or date. Like you don't have both. You pick one.
Yeah.
So he picked the days. And then his buyer kept delaying the escrow, remember? And then somehow it was a problem that the seller was getting still those 14 days.
Which, by the way,
and acted like he didn't know it.
we didn't put on the document, like in the initial offer.
Yeah.
He's the one that gave the seller 14 days.
Oh,
he's the one
I
that
know.
got all of the shortened contingency periods. Not me, not
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
He did that.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
Didn't
But
follow a single date in the entire
follow-
contract.
Nope.
Didn't follow the fact that was 14 days and literally almost canceled.
Kept threatening to cancel if we ever sent a notice to perform, which by the way, a notice to perform is if you don't hit your contingency periods.
You're
someone can
basically a
cancel
notice
on
that
you.
you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yeah.
I digress. There was so much wrong with that one. But the point is, he literally was telling us when I was basically being like, you're out of contract because you didn't meet this date, whatever.
We need
documents, an extension. You need something.
Yeah.
And told me I was being difficult for following the contract.
The buyer's going to cancel.
Which is literally our job because the buyer and the seller, they don't know these documents like the back of their hand.
Yeah.
They don't understand
our
a lot
job.
of this stuff. Our job is to make sure people are protected. And with that protection and all this hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars being thrown around, that everyone is protected contractually. It's not your word. I don't care about your word.
I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't know you. I never met
know you.
Like, also, can we also say that this guy had been licensed for over 10 years?
Yeah. Well,
And-
I remember him saying things like, "Oh, I promise that," blah blah.
Like, I'm a
if
broker.
it's
You
not-
better talk to your broker.
If it's not in
Like,
writing, it doesn't exist. And that's one thing Dad has always drilled in our head, right? Like, if it's not in writing, it means nothing in real estate. It has to be in writing.
Oh, my other favorite was with another male agent that I got bombarded once. I was driving. I got a call. And turns out I'm on speaker with the buyer.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Yeah.
I was on speaker with the buyer. And he starts yelling at me about contractual dates and very similar to
And they were
seller in
wrong.
possession. And I was like, okay, like what?
You're like, I'm driving.
But
Yeah.
also you sent over the contract for that. Like we're only just following it. Now you want to change the contract. And then the buyer starts yelling at me and he goes, well, you're going to have to talk to your broker. And like, I'm a broker. And I go, Listen, bro,
I'm a
I'm a
broker.
broker too.
We're just gonna throw
What
that word
are we
around.
just gonna, like, what's it mean? Now it means nothing because you're not doing your job and you are putting your client at so much risk.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
that lady would have lost
$25,000
minimum.
easy.
Minimum.
And I would have, I 100% would have advised my clients to take her to mediation and arbitration because it got to the point where it was so ridiculous that they're wasting so much time and like,
Out of contract,
can't.
out of contract,
I
out
just
of
can't.
contract.
Yeah. And these are the things like people need to know when you start seeing these red flags when you're on the side and you think
Just cancel when they're out of
things
contract. You know what I
just-
mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Okay, I know for sure that you were trying to be nice. I remember that. Like you were trying to be nice. Okay, you're a day late.
Well, you
day
know,
or
and they
two.
were
Like you're
military, like VA, my client's
right.
VA. So it's nice to be
Exactly.
able to
But
help other
learning
ones,
moment,
but
you don't meet your dates and you don't send me an extension. This ain't gonna work because you're too many red flags.
Audi.
Mm-mm.
Because honestly, it's not worth the stress. And the other thing too is because during that time frame, the market was really slow. So of course, you know, I didn't want my clients to lose out on any money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end, you know, the end goal is to make sure it's a smooth transition, smooth closing, smooth process, and they get the most money that they possibly can out of the house. But dang, man, I have never experienced that before.
Change too fast. As soon as rates go up or down, it can affect everything. So we know sometimes it's better just stay in escrow and get it done. Whatever,
Well, and
whatever.
I think too, during the holidays, people get a little cuckoo bananas.
Oh, cry.
Because that was nuts.
Look, Christmas spirit ain't always a positive one. You know what I'm saying?
All I know is that was probably my worst Christmas I've ever had in my entire life.
Seriously.
I was so stressed.
Rick was also the lender on that, so he was uber stressed.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like reeling it back to just treating us like humans. And we just, like, we're all human. And this affects us.
It's like Reasons Realtors Are Actually Slaves, Part 4.
Yeah. But we're all like, that stresses us just, and the thing is, I take on the stress, right? I don't make my client feel the stress. I don't want my clients ever to feel the stress. And that was the other thing the agent was doing.
Have to know everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, unless you can't fix it, sometimes you try and fix it before. Like, I think people don't realize how much we do behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. Like, for example.
But we get paid too much.
But for example, like our sellers that just like, they had so many questions about the numbers, and we're also trying to find like pre-foreclosures. Like we're doing so much research on the back end.
They still want a discount.
And they want a discount. And I think everybody does technically. Like, don't we all? I mean, look, we all shop. We all want it.
That's why I go to Nordstrom Rack and I don't go to Nordstrom.
Hey, what up? Cute pants.
I said it.
So I think it's just they're being human about it. Like we know what to expect because we do it all the time. But I think they forget that we're humans. We're doing a lot behind the scenes. I think 75% of your work is actually behind the computer as a realtor because you're doing a lot of research, a lot of phone calls, a lot of
negotiating,
writing a lot of letters. Yeah, it's not just sticking to your client
a sign in the yard and you know having a couple phone calls. Like absolutely not. There's so much more that goes into it, and I think too that people a lot of the times people think, oh man, they're getting like paid like 10 grand. Let's just call it.
Yeah.
Well, you and I both know that 10 grand does not go in our pocket. So if you and I are working on a transaction together, even if you and I were to split that 50-50, we still don't get 5,000.
Yeah.
There's so much that goes into it, like paying our broker, because there's a lot of compliance that goes with a real estate brokerage.
You know, insurance.
That people forget when you list a home, it's not just we're listing your home. What if someone trips? What if someone gets really hurt? Or someone gets sued, whatever the fact is that comes with it.
Like
that's what we have to pay for.
You get randomly sued because someone's not happy with something, and you were the agent, so you get involved too.
Yeah,
yay,
exactly.
We'll tell that story next.
So there's a lot of back end things that people don't see, and we're not going to bore you with all the fees that we've got to pay, but it is not free to put your house up online.
I think the best way to put being in this industry is you have high costs and you have high income. And sometimes, like if you do it right, like obviously the goal is to be successful and wealthy, but a lot of times there is a lot of high risk, high reward, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of costs, upfront costs. Like we all know, it's not easy to just start being an agent. There's a lot of upfront costs, and
Well, how
there's
much do we just
annual
drop on
fees and
videos and photos alone?
like 1,000.
$1,000.
So,
That's out of
but it's
pocket
like
without
videos,
anything
photos. You
sold.
have to have your super membership. You have to have your car, your
MLS, don't
NAR,
forget.
MLS. I mean, the amount of dues that we just have either monthly or quarterly,
Yeah.
and then per listing, and then advertising, and this,
Yeah.
what we're doing now, we're doing videos right now. I mean, dear God, like, where do you want from us?
If you want to take away, and like we have kids and we have
Lives.
food
Yeah.
to put on our tables
And
too.
I have goals too. I want to also own real estate and do things like, it's like,
You're not the only one.
no. But I think for the most part, I will say for the most part, I feel like we've been very lucky and we have some amazing, wonderful clients that truly do get it. They're
Yeah.
super understanding. They come to our parties, they see our families, they see our lives. And most of the time, like 9 out of 10 times, like our
Yeah.
clients become friends.
Oh,
And
100%.
I think
I'm working with someone right now.
we've had a few
that I've
that,
worked with
you know,
before.
you drop them because you're like, this ain't working for both of us, you know, whatever. But for the most part, clients are the reason you do it. You want to be there for people to have a good experience. And
I mean, of course,
not get
everyone
screwed
works for the
over.
money, right? Like you wouldn't work.
oh, for sure.
Again, it brings it back to you would never work for free.
Right.
But you also want to work in an industry or a job that you truly love. And we always joke about mom that she actually would probably do this for free. Like
secretly
she would
would.
actually do this for free.
Yeah.
If
If
dad,
it just paid for her food, and
yeah,
like living, the basics,
her basic
she
living
needs nothing
expenses.
more.
No, and I mean, even sometimes I tell my clients, I go, yeah, obviously it's nice to get paid, but I also love when I hand over those keys or like we close and you guys just netted $500,000 for owning your house for 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is income in itself for just living and just paying what you would have paid if you were renting. And I love that because then it's like financial freedom.
Oh, yeah.
Someone gets paid from selling their house like $100,000. What if you had like $50,000 as student loans that you were paying 9% interest on?
AKA you.
AKA,
Mine are like
it's a little bit
3%.
more than
Sorry.
that. It's a little bit.
Mine are like
A little bit more than that.
Yeah.
But my point is, I could turn around and probably sell my house and pay off my student loans. But like, where am I gonna go? Where am I gonna live?
I think, and that's if we're gonna bring up California. Okay, look, California pros and cons part one. Okay, like
why we love living in
why
California.
we love California and sometimes want things to change though. I don't understand why it seems like the state of California or the government of the United States is out to get us Californians because
Is it because we have nice weather?
yeah, are you just jealous?
You jelly?
Texas, are you jealous?
Texas? You jelly because we don't have tornadoes
You're jealous because our weather is perfect.
and we don't have humidity.
Jealous because the beach is right there, and so are the mountains, and the desert is also right there, and it's all right there.
All
The
within
forests?
within 2 hours.
Yeah. Well, I digress because it makes no sense why it just seems like they're out to get us. It's getting harder and harder to own and build that wealth through real estate.
Well, okay.
It's-
Talk about the San Diego thingy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Today, Rick, my wonderful husband, loan officer, was supposed to fund today on a San Diego home, and they decided to halt funding. And because of the rain, they're just
FEMA.
they're like FEMA. Nope. Someone needs to go check and make sure the house is still there.
And didn't.
Don't you think it'd be all over the news that there's just houses disappearing in San Diego?
They're just floating away. There's mudslides everywhere.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah. No, they just make it.
I'm sorry.
make it really
I think
hard.
it's just someone in like Wisconsin that's just like, no, I need proof.
I need proof because what I'm seeing on Fox News, all the houses they just sliding
Disappearing.
away.
Look, there's some weird like it's not Kansas anymore crap going on with tornadoes apparently picking up houses and disappearing them. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I don't
But-
know either. But yeah,
So-
it is. But it's
like,
getting
why is
really unaffordable.
It seems like California is just being targeted for this. I mean, look, I don't the ins and outs of the government. I'm not going to get political. I don't care to do that right now. But the point is, it seems like there's so many things that are just working against people to try and own a home because if it's not taxes and insurance,
Oof.
then it's some weird zoning change or whatever. I mean, it's just seriously never ending. Like
God,
I
don't
live in a
even.
tract home. Can I just say, I live in
Yeah.
a tract home and so do you, which is most of California,
Mhm.
and it's surrounded by other tract homes, but we're in high fire zones
Yeah.
because of a mountain nearby or
I've
an
got
environment zone
Yeah, I've
nearby.
got just a
Nature
nature preserve near
nature
my
preserve
house.
next to you.
Because if you look at from only the aerial view, yeah, it looks like there's a big open field that's going to catch fire, and all them houses are going to be
But
bye
it's a
bye.
nature preserve, isn't it? But they also like maintain it.
They have to, isn't it? Like a city? I mean,
I
not a
don't know.
city or a state
But the
thing,
point is,
but
so then we pay
whatever.
more in insurance, we pay more in insurance than everywhere else. We have high property taxes in all these new construction homes. You
Can
know,
I
it,
say though, I'll never live anywhere else.
I mean, I will temporarily, but I always find my way
Mm.
back home.
This gal, I mean, my husband Stephen is from England, as you know, and even
I didn't know that.
he's from Nottingham. But you couldn't pay him to move back home, I don't think. Like, he loves it
Definitely not England.
so much over here. I mean, people always ask when they meet him for the first time, oh,
Don't you miss England?
don't you miss England?
Did you miss it?
Like,
He's
where
like,
do you like,
no,
my favorite, which one do you like better? Like, what do you think?
I'm
What
here.
do you think, Susan? Like, he likes California
What do
better.
you think, Karen?
Like, of course he likes California better. Obviously, like,
Yeah.
if he was able to get American income living in England, it
Yeah.
would be great because guess how much his brother pays for rent?
I don't want to know.
I'm going to tell you.
I don't want to know.
600 pounds, which is approximately like $800
$800
a month
Sick and
for a
twisted.
2-bedroom. I mean, yeah, it's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, but that's like most places over
Even
there.
in Temecula, not even talking about San Diego, that would be like $2,000.
Easily 2,500, whatever.
Here's the thing, because there's California's the best. You can't tell me any different. You're not going to convince me. You'd have to pay me to say anything different on a recorded line, okay? But I don't understand why it's like it's healthcare, it's insurance, it's taxes.
insane.
It's a little bit much. Like the income tax. I mean, why is it everywhere?
I feel like
everything, like our health insurance is so much
oh,
more.
I pay what
I don't even
$1,500 a
wanna
month
it's
for
crazy.
health insurance, and my husband never gets sick, and I rarely get sick. I've only had to use it because I've had 2 babies in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Literally, that's the only reason.
But as soon as you stop having insurance is when you need it because that's life.
Yeah,
But
all
you
of a
know what
sudden
I
you get
mean?
hit
It's
by a
like
car.
I'm getting a little sick of it. Okay, like cut us a break
Yeah.
somewhere. I
No.
mean, we're choosing.
I mean,
this
what the
life,
average?
but-
I guarantee you, the average middle class person's monthly bills just for like living is about $10,000. I
Oh, I'm
wouldn't
sure.
7 to 10. I
Just on
guarantee
average, you mean?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
I
probably.
mean, obviously, there's people who got really
Much
lucky
higher
and
and much
have like a
lower.
$1,500 mortgage. Cough, mom and dad. But then there's other ones that have $4,000 mortgages, 5,000, 6,000. I mean, some of these crazy quotes I've been seeing for mortgages, just putting like 5% down is about $6,000 a month.
Yeah, you do have to put more down right
I
now.
mean,
to
that's the
make it
thing is
make sense,
people.
but make it make sense, California. Make it make sense.
And the thing is the interest rates, right? Like we'll go into the interest rates of why the Fed needs to get their
How's
shit
my hair?
together.
Is it frizzy?
It's kind of frizzy.
more
But that's
frizzy.
your hair.
Well, it's because it's wet.
My hair looks good
Hold on.
per usual.
Do a quick hair change.